So this week, I kind of just started impulsively cutting hearts out of things. I found the softest cotton and linen scraps in my fabric bin, and I knew that they would be perfect for a cute little apron. I, of course, will not accept the basics. I had this red linen that was just begging to be cut into a little heart, and I knew it would be perfect for a cute little vintage kitsch cottagecore heart apron. This week we're making a heart apron and I'm so excited for it. I love vintage kitsch, and right now, also by the time I am editing and finally finishing this project, it's almost time for Valentine's Day, so perfect. But I didn't introduce myself. Hi, I'm Celia. I'm an artist and designer who is a little lost in life right now, but I'm using cute projects to make myself feel a little better. So if you like crafting, illustration, design, then follow along, and hopefully I'll have more cool crafty projects for you. And I just moved into my new apartment. If you saw my last video, I was talking about it a bit, making some fun decor for it. Unfortunately, I do not have any update reveal shots because I still don't have a bed. I'm still moving everything in, so sorry for the very boring background today. I also have like 3 videos that I filmed before moving because I thought they'd be like a mess to pack, so I just kind of speedrun just sewing and filming. So I have one that's making some cute pillows, and I also tackled my thrift flip pile, so if you want to see that, more reason to stick around. But this week, we're making a cute little vintage apron. So here's a sketch to give you an idea of what I'm working on. I was definitely inspired by my idea of vintage aprons because I didn't really do any research or planning for this project. Definitely didn't make this sketch like halfway through working on it. I was kind of just impulsively like, oh my god, heart apron, and then started cutting hearts out of things. So if you want to make this too, here's the pieces you'll need. You'll need 2 heart pieces, one out of your lining and another one out of the outside fabric with interfacing, a bit of lace if you so choose, a rectangle or trapezoid that is just a little bit larger than what you'd like so you can gather it down, and also a pocket, however large you would like it. If you would like a ruffle, you need a very long rectangle that is at least twice the width of your main apron part. For the neck strap, just kind of place it around your neck and see how large it needs to be. I use the heart as a guide, but the width will be twice as wide as you need it because we're going to fold it in half. For the waistband tie, you will just cut something that is long enough to tie a cute little bow in the back, and also twice as wide as you need because that's going to be folded in half too. So I'm going to start with the top of the apron, the heart part, and all we're going to do is bag line it, which basically just means we're making a pillow, but the pillow is flat. So right sides together, just so, you know, whatever you want your seam allowance to be around the outside of the heart. Also remember to leave a little bit of a gap between where you started and stopped sewing because we need to turn it right side out. So first do a few little trims just to make sure there's not too much fabric that'll get in the way, and after that we will turn it right side out. It helps to use a tool like the backside of a paintbrush or a chopstick to get those edges pushed out all the way. But of course, the thing that will make it look the cleanest is to iron it. So don't forget to iron. And after that, we can add any kind of decoration we want on the top. See how nice and flat it is? So it's really easy to just pin my lace right on. I don't pin often, but for decorations, I find it way easier to make sure they're in the right spot. And now I will stitch that on. The stitching to hold the lace on pretty easily doubles as a top stitching layer. I would recommend, even if you're not adding lace, to still do a layer of stitching around the top, because if you don't, when you wash it, it'll get all baggy. My lace kind of got folded under in a way that I didn't like on the top of the heart, so I ended up going back and unpicking that and kind of arranging it in a nicer way. But now for the pocket. What I did first was I hemmed every side of it, so all 4 sides are hemmed. I think I folded them over twice just to make sure there weren't any weird seams sticking out. That way I can just sew on the 3 edges around the bottom and sides to tack it onto the main apron part, and everything will be nice and neat. Now for the main part of the apron, here I am gathering the top. I always just go across in a really big stitch. I go across twice because I find that it makes it a bit stronger and the stitches are less likely to break when I gather it. As you can see, I already hemmed the rest of it in the same way that I did the pockets by just folding it over twice and doing a nice little tuck in the corners. I don't know how I did it. I just kind of tuck it with my hands as I go. But to do the top, I just pull on the top threads and then kind of scooch everything across. Now for the waist tie, the open edge after folding it over will just be sewn up, except for a little part right in the middle where that main piece is going to be. Just kind of leave a gap there. As you can see from the mark, I measured out how wide I wanted it to be across my waist, and then I just kept sewing down to the end again, so that when it will be turned right side out, you can kind of tuck the apron into there, which you'll see. I messed up and there was a hole in my fabric, so I had to sew a little tiny area on the folded side. Don't mind that if you're actually doing this correctly. But now, just like with some of the other pieces, we're going to turn this right side out. I used a safety pin to help me. You can just kind of attach it onto the end and then tuck it inside and have something to grab onto and scooch the fabric along, and I think it helps a lot. So that means that we have all the pieces we need to do the bottom part. I just kind of laid out the pocket by aligning it with the bottom and making sure that the centers were aligned by folding them in half and then pinning that down. I am then going to stitch around the sides and the bottom, leaving the top open because it's a pocket, and I'm doing 1 stitch vertically down the center to kind of divide it into 2 pockets so it's a bit stronger, and maybe I can put my little pot holders in there. But don't listen to me telling you this is almost finished because I forgot about the ruffle. I have finished the bottom and the sides in the same way, where I just kind of did a little double fold so that they're nice and neat, and I will do another long gathering stitch along the top. And then I will just pull on those top threads again and try to even it out so that it is the same length as the bottom of the main piece. Now, let me know if you know any neater way to attach a ruffle, but I just did them right sides together again, and I kind of have the loose edges of the ruffle just kind of out and about. I know you can kind of cover them with a piece of bias tape maybe, or do a French seam, but it would end up pretty bulky considering, all the ruffled gathered edges in there. So I find the best way to do it just for something casual is to just do right sides together. Honestly, this is probably the most difficult step. I just find sewing ruffles on to be kind of annoying and tedious. I mean, I wouldn't say it's quite difficult, I guess, but as you can see, it takes some time. And now we are almost done. However, I'm just going to finish off the neck strap in the same way I did the other ones by sewing up those open edges. And once they're all sewn up, you can turn it right side out again. And since it's not too long, you can just kind of use your fingers to pull the fabric out. And now we've got all of the pieces to make a finished apron. So exciting! So as you can see, we have the heart part that goes over your chest, and then the neck strap, which will be attached to that. Then the waistband, and it has a little open area for this main apron part. And let's assemble them together. So first I'll take the waistband, and I have a seam in the middle because my fabric was too short, so I align that with the center of the main apron part. Sorry, my arm's kind of in the way. I'm trimming off the gathering threads here, and I'm just kind of scooching it in there by hand and using pins to keep that in place, and just basically sandwiching it between the waistband. There'll be a little bit of extra open part on either side of the main apron part, but we're just gonna top stitch right on top of there and sew that all together, so it'll be nice and closed up and neat. Now I'm going to add the shoulder straps. I already tried it on and found out that I can just kind of stick my head through, so I'm sewing both sides on. And I'm just doing a simple stitch in red on the top. Here I am trying it on and also stabbing my mouth with a pin and then dropping and losing the pin somewhere on my carpet. But anyway, I was just figuring out where to attach the bottom and top pieces together. Depending on the size of your heart, where your waist is, you can attach it on the very bottom point or in the middle of the heart. And I just kind of pinned mine together, and I think it looks pretty good here. So to finish it off, I'm just going to be using a needle and thread with my hands and kind of catching just a little bit of the lining and then a little bit of the waistband. As long as you catch only the lining, you shouldn't be able to see it in the front. And this will be the very last step before it will be all done. So the whole point of this project was to use up my extra fabric, and I still had some red linen left. So if you'd also like to make some little pot holders, I have a layer of the outside fashion fabric, and then a layer of some quilt batting, a washcloth, and another quilt batting, and then more of that red linen. I did a little bit of quick research and found that washcloths were actually really good insulator, or any kind of like terry cloth towel. I had some old ones laying around, so I thought I would sacrifice them for some little pot holders. To hold the layers together, at first I was just going to hand stitch the whole thing with some red embroidery thread, but after trying a machine stitch, it just looked so much neater, and I ended up just tearing out the hand stitching. And you know, I was like, this is going to be so much more efficient, this is going to be so much faster, so I just ended up doing machine stitching. I decided to do just a kind of like radial pattern on one of them, and then on the other one I tried doing like concentric hearts instead. I think they both turned out really cute. This one I was a little bit worried about where all of the stitches crossed in the middle being a little bit too thin and the heat kind of soaking through faster. It does kind of end up getting a little bit hot in the center, but mostly the part where your hand touches is around the sides, so I think it worked out pretty well. here's the version with the concentric hearts. Also keep in mind that I definitely do not have an embroidery machine, but I feel like if you did, you could create a lot of really cool possibilities with this. But, I mean, look at what I'm doing. Even if you don't, super easy to just kind of create some quick patterns. And then to finish off the edges, I am using some bias tape. I'm doing it right sides together with the raw sides together. And then once that's sewn on by machine, I'm going to flip it over so that the finished edge is on the other edge, as you can see here. And then the finished edge of the bias tape, I'm going to just hand sew down. I'm sure you could machine stitch it. I just thought that'd look a little bit messy. I don't know if the hand stitching looks a little bit messy too, but I'm pretty comfortable with hand stitching and I think it keeps it on in place. And then the edges, I can also finish nice and precisely with my needle and thread, and I just kind of stitch them up and hide that thread in the inside there. Here it is. I put on my most cottagecore outfit I could find, and I do have a reason for holding my mic, and that is I'm still figuring out how to use it because anytime I bump it around, it's very noisy. Seriously? It has like a button in it that's kind of loose, so whenever it moves, the button picks up on the mic. It's kind of poorly designed, but I hope it works. I hope you can hear me. The real focus is what we're looking at, right? Right. I feel like a little hobbit. I'm just in the mood to bake something now. Like, oh, where am I gonna wear this? To bake a little sweet treat in my kitchen? I don't need to go anywhere. I dress up to bake something at home. Like, just ordinary everyday things feel so much more fun when you're just dressed up in a cute little fit. I think it could have used some sort of like red trim. If I had more red linen, I think I would do little heart-shaped pockets. I don't know if that'd be too many hearts. I think it's cute as is if I wear it with some red. The cotton and linen are so nice and soft that I think it'll be very practical in using it as like a little towel, you know, to wipe my hands. And I don't know if it'll keep my waist dry when, you know, when you do dishes and your shirt gets kind of wet. Like, I hope it'll help with that a little bit. See, I'll do anything to try to get myself to do the dishes, so if I just have to put on a cute little apron and it'll make me feel more like doing my little tasks, I consider that a big win. And update from the future, I still wear it all the time, and it makes cooking so much more fun. I absolutely love it. Thank you for watching.